you've been calling NFL games for over 20 years. This was your first year with the Niners. You've seen from John Gruden to every team that you guys played against with the Raiders, for every Mike Shanahan's to the Andy Reid's to the Sean Paytons to the Belichick's. To looking back, I know the Super Bowl, the ending was shitty, but the overall season, is that as good of a coaching job and just a well-run operation as you've seen?
Yeah, but when you go back to what you said, it's the best. It's the most perfect football season I've ever witnessed. Really, I mean, when you start the year, your goal is obviously to win every single game, but you're not required to do that to win the Super Bowl. But what you want to achieve is to be the number one seed, and you need the 49ers season was as perfectly executed as anything has been that I've ever been around. Now, there have been obviously New England 16-0 year, and Indianapolis had one year where they started 13-0 and shut it down at the end. But as far as the whole thing, to come off a 4-win year, and I wasn't there every day, but I did watch that team obviously very closely doing other responsibilities I had on radio and TV. I thought they would be good, but I didn't think they would be that good. I thought Bosa would be good. I didn't think he would be that good. I mean, that pass rush dominated the league, the running game, with the exception of a couple of games. And there were obviously a strong, long stretch of the year where they lost the right tackle, the left tackle, and the fullback. And Kittle was gone for a while there. So, but they still, they had to reinvent themselves some games and throw it more than they wanted to. But they still won. I mean, to go 8-0 and to do it all the way they did it. I was with one Raiders team, obviously the team that went to the Super Bowl, where they had the number one seed, and they did make it all the way to the Super Bowl. But the 49ers, the ultimate season would be to win as many games as you can win and have home field advantage throughout the playoffs. And then, but the two playoff games they played were almost as perfect as you could possibly play. I mean, the Viking game, when Stephon Diggs did, get behind Ahkello Witherspoon and score.
And Jimmy threw the pick right before the half.
For a couple of moments, but I never thought they were going to lose. I thought, they may not beat them 49-0, but they were always the dominant team. So those two, and the Packer game, they were just rolled them. So as far as your fan base, you're not going to have a home playoff, a home Super Bowl. Now, Tampa may this year, but the final game is not going to be in your home stadium. To have two playoff games be just rollicking routes the way they were is just as special as you could possibly have. So, and even when they lost throughout the regular season, there were never the three games they lost on the last play of the game, essentially. I mean, so it was never like they got routed this game. They weren't ready to play. They lost three times, but did they? I never felt like I never left any of those games. At Baltimore, certainly, Seattle, Atlanta was Atlanta. I never left the stadium thinking they're better than the 49ers, not one time. So, in fact, I felt the opposite. I felt Baltimore, if we play them in the Super Bowl, we'll beat them. I felt that all the way. I felt they were better than Seattle. So, yeah. I've seen, Gruden's team host the AFC Championship game and, some special Raider years, the Super Bowl game. But as far as from the entirety of the season, including the preseason, because they won 3 out of 4 in the preseason, not that it matters, but it showed the depth of the team that they were behind, I think, in all 3 of those games at halftime. But they wore the team down in the second half, which shows your deep. And you're going to need the depth because you're going to lose. They had a lot of injuries they had to overcome to significant people. It was an extraordinary season from start to finish, and then including the Super Bowl. Kansas City, and we talked about it. I was fearful of Kansas City all year. I felt like that was the only team that I thought, I'm not sure the 49ers, I know they can beat them, but will they beat them when it's required to beat them? And everybody else I felt they could beat. Kansas City was, I think the 49ers can beat Kansas City, but I think Kansas City could beat the 49ers. And the way the Super Bowl played out was all of those different games that I saw where they could dominate, but there were going to be times where you just couldn't deal with that guy and his stable of speed and Andy and the way he runs the whole thing, the tight end, the backs, everything. And so, you got right there to 7 minutes and 13 seconds away from winning the thing. And then that other side kicked in, which made it. That's why this season is so hard for me to look back on. And I'm, to some degree, the pandemic, you don't even worry about it anymore.
Yeah.
And part of me wonders, and obviously, so many people have lost their lives. There's a bigger issue here. But the Chiefs cannot fully celebrate their championship. I'm sure they're going to pass out Super Bowl rings. But how are they going to have a ring presentation? Are they going to wait to do that during the year? You're going to do it on a Zoom call? I don't know. I mean, it's just not the same.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a, you don't want this distraction, obviously. But I think this time of the year would have been, how are they overcoming the loss? Well, they're overcoming the loss because football's not important right now. And that game seems like 20 years ago. So, but yeah, that was it was the most perfect season with the most imperfect ending to a season. It was, the whole thing went perfect. It was absolute perfection until that 3rd and 15 and 2-3 chip, jet, wasp, whatever the hell that play's called, where the whole thing just began to flip, and then there was an avalanche on you.